Good evening, everybody, and of course, PGA DFS fans. Welcome to Live Before Lock. I had to change it up a little bit as it's been, months, maybe even a year since I've been on this show. But as times have come around and things are weird in my household, I get to come join Ben on a Wednesday night. And the greatest part is that we're going to be one of the only shows to tell everybody, don't play Webb Simpson and don't play Harris English. Now, here's the funny part about that. Typically, Ben and I would say that anyway.
True.
But now we get to say it for real, obviously, because they have withdrawn from the event. But we'll go over that in a little bit. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel here. And I want to thank Yahoo Fantasy, the sponsor of our show. We'll tell you a little bit about them in just a bit. I've been starting to play over there a little bit more for the golf side. A lot of fun. But let's go ahead and just recap Pebble a little bit. One of the reasons why I do like Yahoo, Ben, because I had Patrick Cantlay and Jordan Spieth in almost every single lineup last week, but that really wasn't the optimal build, given that Tom Hoge won. Even without Tom Hoge winning, wasn't the optimal build. But on other sites, it certainly could. It wasn't the optimal build on DraftKings, I should say. Wanted to bring that up with you. How did you approach it last week, given that Spieth and Cantlay really were the only two good golfers in the field?
Yeah, it was a weird situation. Unfortunately, I had a bad Sunday. It was killer. I had Merritt, I had Putnam, I had Dahmen. I didn't have Hoge, so like that prevented it anyway. So I was around it, and you mentioned Cantlay was, the withdrawals were coming fast and furious, and he thinned out the field. So it felt like the right build, but it was credit to Tom Hoge. Spieth did not lose that tournament. Tom Hoge just won it, hunted him down just like Luke List. Guys breaking through for the first time. It seems like they're never going to win, and then they do.
Yeah, for sure. And well, maybe I disagree with you just a tad on Spieth not winning.
Yeah, you thought he gave it away a little?
Getting to 18 under with 2 holes left, or maybe even 3 holes left. 4 holes? He parred 15, 16, bogeyed 17, parred 18. So he was at 18 under on 15, and the fact that he didn't get to 19, that's pretty brutal in my opinion. I think. I mean, Hoge won it, but I would say Spieth maybe handed it to him a little bit. Spieth's description of Hoge, I don't know if you saw that.
I did. Playing crabs.
Playing crabs. Yeah, you gotta just love that, right? All right, let's see what else we can talk about last week. No, that was pretty much it. Those are the only notes that I had. I mean, I'm so glad that the 3-course rotation thing that's over for the rest of the year. It's just golf. It's just one course, 4 rounds most of the time. Sometimes we'll get the WGC where it's a no cut, but not for a couple of bets. All right, let's move on to the weather and the withdrawals. We do have a lot of withdrawals to talk about this week. Maverick McNeely was early on in the week, and then just today, maybe an hour ago, Webb Simpson withdraw. Ben, do you think this maybe signals a little bit of a problem? I think Webb could be injured, and the results are kind of showing it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely a little worried about Webb in general, and we'll have to see exactly what that is. And it's funny. Webb's not a guy that I back a lot. Harris English, I never back. So helps my builds a little bit because I didn't know what to do with Webb in particular, former winner here, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. Injuries, then you've got guys like Charlie Hoffman, Daniel Berger in the field, but we don't know. We still don't know exactly how healthy guys like that are.
Yeah. I need to ask chat, because I've already touched them like 6 times, how long my glasses actually stay on for. I'll give everybody a chance to give us the over-under here.
Times are tough.
I'm going to set it at 12 minutes, but I think it's going to be shorter than that. I'll let chat decide whether it's over or under. Okay, perfect weather this week. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about that. Low 70s, very little wind the first 2 days, maybe a little creep up of wind on Saturday, but that's after the cut. Just nice to not have to worry about it.
It's great. One last thing, don't want to worry about it. You mentioned some of the, I think the gimmicky events that are a little early in the PGA year. It's hard. It's hard to know about 3-course rotations, and you get some awkward wind and whatnot. This is just a great standard course. TPC Scottsdale, Waste Management, one of my favorite. And so always on the Super Bowl, which makes it kind of cool. It's just a memorable one each year.
Yeah, it really is. So Harris English, Maverick McNeely. Let's go ahead and talk about the TPC Scottsdale. I think we've covered all of the withdrawals here. It's just so funny that the two guys that withdraw. You and I never.
I saw your tweet and I was thinking the same thing. Like, this is my moment to just win it all.
I've been waiting for this. Printed in the field, and they withdraw from the event. Somebody tweeted me right after, Kevin. And he goes, man, why could they have waited till 9:12 tomorrow morning to do this? Would have helped us out a little bit more. But nonetheless, they're not in the field. Let's talk about TPC Scottsdale, though. Par 71, close to 7,200 yards. My question to you is, why do you think this golf course lends itself to multiple different winners, right? We've got a Webb Simpson winner, we've got a Hideki Matsuyama winner, and we've got a Brooks Koepka winner. I would say those golfers, those three are vastly different from each other in every respect. Do you think that just this is a cream rises to the crop type of event, and that's why we get good winners? Gary Woodland you can throw in there as well. Or do you think that there's something else?
No, I think it's mostly that. You know, we talk about course fit a lot and skills that you need. But when Rahm or Cantlay or the world's best win a tournament, there is no skill. It's just they're just amazing golfers. And I think you've seen at Waste Management, even when Ricky won, like he was very good at that time. And most of the players that we see in the winner circle are just high pedigree golfers. Then I think you look at the course, the par fives, the short par four. I don't think it lends itself to any specific type of player. You need to make putts, you need to drive it well, but it's kind of an all around test. So I don't think it's gimmicky in that way either. And that's why we see from Brooks to Webb to Ricky to Decky, those are not similar golfers in any way.
No, they're really not. Just really quickly on the withdrawal front, Jay Lizzie wants to know, it's a good question, that's why I'm bringing it up. What do you think the shares of Webb and English, well, maybe not maybe English wasn't really going to be highly owned. What do you think the shares of Webb go? You think they go up to Fitzy, Oosthuizen, Finau, or do you think they drop down to the Adam Scott, who was projected to only be 7% owned roughly?
So normally it's a little early where I don't think it's as big of a deal. Typically I say it goes lower because people don't want to rebuild. And if you have $0, you're not going to be able to take someone above them. But in this case with Webb, I'd say Fitzy probably gets a lot of it. And then people like, you know, Henley and Connors will also, but I don't think he was going to be like massive chalk anyway. So it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah, agreed. It was going to be like maybe 15%. So
yeah, so a couple percentage points for a handful of guys, I think will do it.
For sure. All right. Well, let's move on here to at least it's new to me, a new topic, if you will. It's called Rank 'em. And I kind of like it. It's a way for us to chat about some of the golfers in the field and give our opinion on where they stand versus some of the other ones. So let's start at the top for the studs. And I've got Jon Rahm versus Justin Thomas versus Hideki Matsuyama versus Viktor Hovland versus Xander Schauffele. There's a reason why I picked these golfers, obviously, and there's obviously a couple of other ones that I didn't mention that I will in a minute, but let's just talk about what I'd call the studs here. Obviously, Jon Rahm doesn't have a top three at this event, does have some pretty good history, whereas Justin Thomas has two top threes in his last three trips here. Xander Schauffele, runner-up last year. The only guy that hasn't really played well, Matsuyama, two-time winner. The only guy that hasn't played well, Viktor Hovland, missed the cut 2 years ago. So of the studs, let's rank them 1 to 5 this week on where you're playing them in DFS and if you're betting any of them before the tournament starts this week.
So the outright market's a little tough up here because you're not getting a ton of value, in my opinion, and they're very likely to be there, but you know, you're flirting with single digits in some of these guys. It's tough. Hovland would be last for me, and it's not because he got cut here 2 years ago. I think he's a much different golfer. It's just someone has to be last.
Yep.
I think I'm going to go with Rahm up top if I had to rank them. I'm going to go Rahm, Xander, JT, Decky, Hovland. I think that Xander's price point is pretty appealing. It's got the all-around game, but I'm kind of falling in love with the 211K guys. I know they're expensive, but man, I really do like the setup for Rahm. Arizona State guy, always plays well here, even as an amateur, and he's playing better than anyone in the world right now.
So I brought up at the top of the show that I stacked Cantlay and Spieth last week in almost every single lineup. And there's a reason I brought that up, not just everyone pretty much probably knew that's listening to the show, but I brought it up for a reason, saying it didn't work. Even though they both came in the top 5, it wasn't an optimal build. You just couldn't fit 4 guys around them. So do we have that same exact problem this week if we love Rahm and JT? We can't play them together, right?
I don't think that you can, if you play them together, certainly one of them is going to need to win. But even more than that, you have to hope that the 9K range completely implodes, because I don't think you're going to get one of them. And if like Spieth or Berger or Burns comes in like third, instead of having the double 11, you're going to want the winner and that guy. So I'm with you. I don't think it's a good build to have both of them in the same lineup.
Yeah, it frustrates me. I'm not going to lie to you. And I said that last week because I want the ability to do that. And that's why I do love looking at the different sites, and specifically the sponsor of the show, Yahoo. They do give you the opportunity. If you think they are going to go 1-2 in the event, something like that, you can go on and build a quality lineup. Also, $4,000 to first place going on over at Yahoo for their top contest. And also, if you guys have not signed up over at Yahoo yet, all you got to do is make a deposit and you get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That is a pretty sweet deal. And if you want immediate access, all you got to do is email support@awesemo.com. And if you don't, what they'll do is Yahoo will send over your email in a bunch and you'll get that free month. So take advantage of that. Check it out. Also, like their salary cap, like I said. Okay, so you gave your ranking. I'll give mine quick. I also like the price on Xander. I think that you're getting a pretty good discount. He maybe hasn't been in his top form. So I'd go, man, I know this is weird, but I would go JT over Rahm here. I'd go JT, Rahm, Xander. Decky, I mean, Decky could come out and win again. That's the thing. I would also put Hovland lowest. I don't know if this course fits Hovland. We're going to see this week if the miscut was an anomaly or maybe if it is a greater course fit kind of thing. All right, now let's go into the low-owned up top. We have Cantlay, Spieth, and Brooks. Obviously, when I mentioned those first two guys as low-owned, that's got to ring to my ears. But Patrick Cantlay's iron game last week was horrific, in my opinion. I mean, the stats may have shown something a little different, but they only captured 2 rounds. There were just a number of shots that he hit what my friends and I would call chunky monkey duffs. I mean, 120 yards not getting to the green, terrible. So the low ownership probably warranted, but can we even play him? Let's rank those 3 and then start with Cantlay. Are you worried like I am?
I'm a little worried. He lost over, we don't have all the data, but over 2 strokes on the approach from what we can see. That's not typically what we see. And obviously it's not what you want to see. And the price is up there against JT and those guys. You're not getting a discount. So to rank him, Spieth would be first almost by default for me, because I don't really want to play Cantlay at 10-7. I have no feel. I'll be completely honest. I have no feel on Brooks. I rely completely on our tools with him. And a lot of times that the tools that we have show that Brooks sometimes doesn't show up outside of these majors, and off a miscut at the Farmers. If Brooks beats me, he beats me. I have no interest.
Yeah. See, the thing about Brooks is if he finds himself into the weekend, which we don't know if he'll do that. If he finds himself into the weekend and he's close to contention, because this is the strongest field at this event, and I think I saw something like 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if he turned it on a little bit. It is a big time event. It's the most, the most trafficked event actually in person of the entire year. So it definitely is a career building win. He's got 2 of them at this event. So clearly he likes it enough here. 9,400, I don't mind it. 7% ownership in GPPs. Will I get the 15%? I think I will, man. I'm not going to lie to you.
Do you worry about his health at all?
105 points at the Century kind of shows me that there's no way. Yeah, there's no way Brooks Koepka puts over 100 points up if he's hurting. I know it was a really, Cam Smith put up 180 points. But with Koepka, if he's hurt, I mean, I take it back to the time that I was out there and he had a wrist injury. I mean, he mails it in. When he doesn't feel good or he's hurt, he completely mails it in. And he didn't do that. He just didn't have a good Sunday there. So I don't think I am less worried about Brooks Koepka's health than I am Daniel Berger. That's for sure. Let's talk about Spieth quickly. Cantlay, I like a leverage spot. I don't like his game. Spieth, on the other hand, I loved him last week. I couldn't believe people were hating on him so much. There was so much bad news surrounding him for the 5 or 6 days leading up to that event. All you had to do was kind of push that aside just a little bit and find that he's actually not playing that bad. And it shows. He was playing pretty good. of course, gave us the human highlight reel that Jordan Spieth is almost dying. You had
That was insane.
You had one of the funniest tweets of the week saying we legitimately almost lost Spieth to a fatality here.
But like, what is, I can't understand that that's allowed. Like,
oh man.
So does Pebble, being completely serious, does Pebble Beach have like, you know, occasionally a death or two out there? Because it's a public course, right?
It's a public course, and they have the warning sign that says danger steep cliff. So I'm assuming they've had somebody fall down the cliff.
People, they say don't go into the lion at the Bronx Zoo, and people go in there all the time and get destroyed by the animals. People don't listen. Like,
no, they don't.
That's insane.
We'll have to source this one.
They let people do that. Whatever. You know what? Filter out the people that can't listen.
Yeah. Besides him almost dying, 9,900 this week. Mild ownership, probably not going to get above 15%. And while this was his coming out party last year, a re-coming out party, he also got a third place finish here. So clearly there's something in this course that sets up well for Spieth. So are you going to go back in looking for back-to-back weeks, or do you think we got the pinnacle of his little season or his in-season stuff last week?
I mean, I think it's a little of both. I'm not opposed to getting exposure to Spieth in this spot. I mean, he's shown he can play well here. He was, I mean, Pebble is Pebble. He just loves that course, but 10% ownership projection on him. I think I'm pretty good with that. He can score, obviously. I guess it's a little awkward though. Do you start with him and go balanced, or do you jam him as a second? And that's pretty aggressive.
Well, that's the thing, right? If we love JT or Rahm up top, getting them with Spieth is still allocating a ton of salary. I mentioned already at the top that last week that, the optimal just, it ended up not being priced two guys up above. So it's a tough one for me. I think if I'm going to play Spieth, I would rather play him with Xander. I think that's a fine combination there, 97 and 9,900. But I'll rank him. I think that for me, it's of these guys, it's Spieth, Cantlay, Brooks. But I like all of them. I like all of them more than this next range of guys that I think is important to bring up. These are all the higher owned guys in this slate: Daniel Berger, Sam Burns, Scotty Scheffler, and Bubba Watson. Now I'm only talking about 9,000 and above here, just to be clear. So of those four guys that are not the studs and are not the three low-owned guys, why don't you rank them and tell me why your favorite is the favorite? Or maybe you're playing none of them like me. You get Berger, Burns, Scheffler, and Watson.
I like Scheffler. I'm going to put him first. Came in 7th last year. Really got good with the putter, but his game is just all around. He can drive the ball well. He shows up at big time events. He's got pedigree. Price is right. I'm going to go Scheffler 1. But Bubba's another guy. I have a tough feel with him. He was in Saudi Arabia, comes over, loves this course. It's a Bubba track. I just don't know if I want to pay $9,000 for him. But I have no interest in Sam Burns, and I'm not looking to get to Berger a ton either. So by default, it's going to be Scheffler 1, Bubba 2, Berger 3, Sam Burns 4.
I think I'm pretty in line with you. Scotty's number 1 for me. The fact that Bubba showed up to Saudi Arabia, collected a paycheck, whatever, and then got another good paycheck for coming in second. I got to be honest. I didn't even know he was in the event. Then all of a sudden I heard Varner beat him on Sunday. Honestly, I didn't know Bubba was even there, and he came in second. So I honestly don't know what to think about him because he hasn't played on the PGA Tour since, it's almost been 4 months now, it seems like. So Bubba's a difficult one for me. I'm not going to lie to you. Seeing the fact that he's priced higher than Tony Finau, Louis Oosthuizen, Webb Simpson before he withdrew was a little odd to me because I haven't seen him in so long. So 10% ownership there. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go Scheffler, Watson, Burns, Berger. Berger was interviewed by Jason Sobel earlier today. I don't know if you saw this, Ben, but he's like, hey, I withdrew because it was more precautionary than anything else. Okay. Well, I think it's more like you didn't want to play in 45-degree weather, which I understand, early on in the morning if you have a bad back. So I don't know that I'm all concerned about his health, but I don't want to play him regardless. I don't think this is a great setup for him, and you can't play everybody. So Berger's an easy one to fade for me. Can you give me any other reasons to fade him though, other than I just don't like him?
No, I think there's just an opportunity cost. It's an awkward build. not that this track, I don't think it's a terrible fit by any stretch. Like the Bermuda, he's more of a straight par 70 guy, just looking at historically, where he's really excelled. But I will say that Daniel Berger's irons have been absolutely fantastic for like 6 to 8 months right now. There's no doubt about it, but he has lost strokes putting in 4 of 5. I'm not nearly as soured on him as you are, but I also concede that it's just not a great build with him in there right now. I may get to a little, but I would click Scheffler before I'd click Berger.
I think so. I'm right there with you.
And,
all right,
I will.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, friend of the show, Jeffrey Wilson was mentioning he saw a split and it could be real cold Thursday morning a little more. Those are things to take. I really, when I looked, didn't see anything massive, but for a guy like Berger, especially if you want to factor in some of those small, minute details, I don't think it's the craziest thing to plan for some things like that with the weather. I'm right now, though, I'll be honest, I'm playing it pretty straight up.
Yeah, me too. Not gonna lie to you. Bradley Mack mentions the Varner bomb to be
that was
awesome. I mean, I loved the celebration. I loved everything about it. It just sucks because I told you on the first show of the year that he was my breakout candidate to win, and then he wins on Saudi Arabia.
I hear this has been a couple guys over the last couple of years that I have won on an alternate event or in Europe that I've really targeted as outrights, and that is an awful feeling. Seamus comes to mind.
Seamus is the other one. Yep, that won the Barbasol, right?
Yeah, like I was betting him for weeks, and Varner's a guy I bet a lot last year, and you nailed him that he was going to have a big year, and he started big, just not here.
So frustrating. All right, let's go to the strong eights. Now, we did have 2 guys withdraw, but I still think this level is packed. Plus, the ownership is not going to be that high on these guys. Again, the 15% that Webb was going to have, I think it'll evenly distribute. But I think this area provides nice second golfers in the lineup when you're starting with Rahm or JT. I think you can easily get one of these guys in. So I'm going to rank them for you. Tony Finau is the highest price in this section, but is also my number 1. I love the fact that this golf course should suit him perfectly. He struggled for quite a few years, 4 straight years he missed the cut. Then all of a sudden comes in second 2 years ago, and we're all like, okay, this makes sense. 28th last week, not great, right? But shot 59 today, I think, in the practice round I heard. Not that it matters that much, but clearly he does like this course. I'm going to start with Tony Finau as my number 1 ranking. I like Matthew Fitzpatrick and Louis Oosthuizen almost as much. Then we're going to go Adam Scott. Then we're going to go down to Russell Henley. Then we're going to go to Tom Hoge. Then we're going to go to Corey Connors. And then, yes, I think the run in Seamus Power is done. I think Monterey Peninsula finally ended what has been a fantastic run of golf. He still ended up in the top 10. I'm pretty sure. Did he come in 12th last week or did he get 9th? I think he finished 9th.
I think he held in there.
Yeah.
But clearly I'm going to say melted down, but Saturday at Monterey,
did though. He really did melt down.
It was a disappointing effort, but the guy's been on fire for what a run. I'm with you. So Tony Finau, one of the great things we talk about is not course history, but course fit. I think people are getting smarter with that. There's no reason that Tony Finau shouldn't play well here. And I think long-term, in a decade from now, we're going to see those 4 missed cuts as a blip on the radar. He can clearly do it here. I like him. Fitzy, I bet him at 50-1. I think we haven't seen him at this course, but there's no reason he won't look good. He was crisp with his irons. He's a good Bermuda putter. I like him a lot. The one guy I have higher than you do is Corey Connors. I think that Corey Connors could set up okay here. I know they're around the green game is a little weak. He hasn't been doing much, but tee to green, the stats look fine. He just lost 4.5 strokes at Farmers putting. If he flips that, I think he'll be better. The guys that I have in last are Tom Hoge and Seamus. So I'm right in line with you there.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Arizona's got a couple of casinos right nearby. So coming off the Pebble win.
With the craps. Yeah.
What is it, like 1.2 million he got for that? He'll walk over to that. I forgot what it's called. I lived out in Arizona for like 6 months for some training for my first job out of college. And I forget what it's called. They also had Joel Damon played in a mini tour event right near the casino. Anyways, that's where Hokie will be on Thursday and Friday night. I think he's living with his mom this week or staying with his mom. Is that the deal? One of those.
You got this inside information. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm almost positive he's staying with his mom this week.
Okay.
But nonetheless.
Probably riding high. That was an impressive, obviously, first win for him.
It is. All right. So it seems like, give me the ranking of Finau, Lewis, and Fitzpatrick. I didn't hear you say that one. Yeah.
It is tough. I'm gonna go Fitzy 1, Finau 2, Usti 3.
Let me read you a tweet. Let me read you a tweet that I just saw about Ustays and to see if it changed your mind. Okay, it's a pretty good one. Give me 1 second. I gotta find it. These tweets are great. I know you love these tweets. So here it is. Okay, Louis Oosthuizen is making his first start of 2022 in Phoenix this week, and in his first start of the year worldwide since 2009, he's had 13 starts. 4 of them have been wins, and 9 have ended up in the top 10. None of them, obviously, PGA Tour wins because he doesn't have any. He's got the Open Championship, of course, but not an actual PGA Tour win. Remember, the PGA Tour does not own the majors. So what do you make of that stat, and does that change your mind at all?
Doesn't change my mind at all, only because he's third because I really like Fitzy and I really like Finau, not because I don't like Usti. The other thing, I think it just confirms what we all know. There is little to no correlation with how Usti plays and how he just played, whether he didn't play or whether he's been playing amazing. He goes out and he just plays, or he decides he doesn't want to play and he's hurt and he does it. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for him. We've seen it. I mean, the guy won a major when he was as unknown as anyone out there. So he could play great. He could not be in form. Nothing would surprise me. I would be very shocked if Finau or Fitzy don't play pretty well, though.
Yeah, last note on Usti, moved up the street from me to Ocala, bought a
He's got horses now, right?
Yeah, it's horse country in Ocala. Oh my goodness gracious. So he's been practicing on Bermuda, if that helps. This is obviously Bermuda throughout.
His putter in 2021, he gained strokes putting basically the entire year until the very end, and now he can't buy a putt. So if he can rekindle that, he's going to be fantastic.
Isn't that funny? Let's talk about Adam Scott for a second. Started his season on the European Tour, back-to-back top 10s. In those 2 starts, though, and this is what I want to bring up, he gained over 5 strokes off the tee, which was his problem last year. Incredibly, it's been so consistent his entire career, but ranked outside of the top 150 for the first time in his career last year in that category. So if he's fixed the off the tee game and his putter stays, I'm not going to say top 20 best in the PGA Tour. We know that's not going to continue. But let's just say top 50 best. Can we see a bounce back year for Adam Scott?
I think he's still got it. He's a player. He knows his game. He doesn't play as much. The one thing that I was a little surprised with, and I'm not saying this is a reason not to play him, has Adam Scott never played here?
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, at least since 2012, he hasn't.
Which is just surprising. I'm really unsure why that is. There's nothing in this course that I say, oh, Adam Scott can't play well. So it's not to say I won't blindly back him in some shares, but I was caught off guard that he has no history here.
Yeah, me too. Brian in our chat here welcomes me back. Thank you. I'm glad to be back. I may not be feeling my best, but
Brian, he had a big week last week in the golf streets, I believe.
We love that. We love it to hear that.
And see
that. So keep it going here this week. Looks like Slim Brody agrees with me. Big year coming up for Adam Scott. Listen, I do like him. I think he's going to be low owned this week, so we can go there. Hey, Tyler, behind the glass, are you okay with me running an old segment called Make the Cut here quickly? Yes. All right, folks. If you guys have you been with Ben and I, we used to do the show when we first started together, and we used to have the segment called Make the Cut, where it's basically just rapid fire. I ask Ben about one specific guy, and he tells me if he's going to play all 4 rounds or not. If you guys want anybody or rapid fire questions, this is the absolute segment to do that, and then we'll move on to a couple of other things. So let's start with Abraham Answer. Nice bounce back week in Saudi Arabia. Given 8th. $7,900 on DraftKings. Does he play all 4 days this week?
So first thing I'll say, I'm going to have a lot of mostly yeses in here because this is an invitational and it is easier to make this cut. Sure. I think Answer does make it though.
Well, no, it's an open, but because it's Arizona and there's weird time, like we only get 132 players. So it's an open championship. We do have the 4 open qualifiers and all that. It's just not as many golfers because of daylight savings and all that.
Yeah, so that obviously helps a little bit. I think Answer will be fine. I do. He's someone, I think the jury is still out on how good he really is. We're going to see. At times he looks like a legitimate top end guy. At other times he looks just like one of many PGA Tour regulars. I think he's just fine though. Returns a solid result this week. Yeah,
I would agree there. I do like him a lot. Guy next is Billy Horschel. Been horrible with his irons, but everything else seems to be working very well. He's got a couple of good finishes on the season. So Does he keep it going here? And I recall him playing well here last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't understand Billy Ho. The irons have just been terrible. The putter has been on fire. He's a Bermuda guy. He did it have a top 10 here in 2020. I'm going to say he just credit to him. He makes more cuts than I feel like he should. He's one of those guys, even when he doesn't have it. And I'm going to say he does that again here.
I don't really play Billy Ho all that much, but I will say at 7,800, I'm at least a little intrigued if I don't want to play all the Abraham answer. And I think he does provide a little pivot off of Taylor Gooch, but I think they're both going to be really highly owned. I think Horschel and Gooch are going to be in a lot of stacks together. Yep. And I don't really want to play any of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Taylor Gooch is another guy. He's got to fix his irons long-term are very strong. He's had some blips on the radar with them lately. Don't mind him in balance builds. Don't even mind him in cash. Tournaments, though, I'm going to look for some pivots.
I am too. For sure. One of those pivots going to be Luke List. No, he's going to be highly owned as well, right?
I think he'll be pretty popular. I mean, form is great. Everything is working for the game. The course fits him. Price isn't, I think, that prohibitive. So Luke List should be fine. If the putter stays like it is, Luke List is going to keep this going.
So you think that he could top 5 again this week, top 10? I mean, he just won the Farmers. You don't think there's going to be a hangover?
I do think there's always an element when you're talking about someone, we've talked about this a lot, not all first wins are created equal. And when you're 200 starts out and you win, it's got to be a relief a little bit. I like the price, but this field is much stronger. I think the difference is he could come in 18th, he could come in 22nd, and you're just fine. You're okay with that this week. There's no pressure there. I think he'll be okay. I'm not looking to bet him or go aggressive though. No.
Okay, sure. This is a fine time to talk about Maddie Mitch's question. Thank you for the super chat there, sir. Why has Francesco Molinari not played here the last few years? Does that affect you playing him? Okay, why hasn't he played here the last few years? I can give you my synopsis or my guess. And it has to do with the fact that he's lived overseas. He just moved to California over the pandemic. So I think it just has to do with focusing on the European tour and living over there and not wanting to come over for this event for whatever the reason, even though he's played Farmers quite a bit. So that's my answer to the first part of the question. Second part of the question, does it affect me playing him? No, I actually like him a lot this week. I think he makes a ton of sense at 7,000. We've seen a couple of good starts from him now, and clearly we know that he hasn't been in his best form the last couple of years, but he's a golfer that we know when he's playing his best is a pretty high quality player. Now, Ben maybe disagree with that a little bit on that side. But why don't you take Matty Mitch's questions? I'm going to assume it's probably similar to what I said.
Yeah, I'm totally in line. There are big time European tour tournaments around this. We just saw these guys come back from Saudi Arabia. Francesco Molinari was over there generally, and I don't think he wanted to come over for the waste management. Now he's here, he's playing it. I'm not overly interested in him, but not because he hasn't played the last couple of years. I'm just a little worried about where his game is at. He looked great at Amex, and then he followed up not so good at Farmers, which is a tough course. He's fine for the price. I'm not going to push back on that price by any stretch. I prefer Wise. I prefer Mito, though.
Yeah. Well, yes, probably. Yeah. Okay. I agree. I'll take Mito one more time. I'll take Wise one more time. But I am playing Molinari. Molinari. And
I'm not going to push back on that.
Yeah, one more clip to Yahoo here. He's just $21 in salary over there, which is basically the minimum. Which obviously he's 7,100 on DraftKings, so or 7,000. Sorry, 7,000 on DraftKings. So I do like Molinari over there quite a bit. If you're playing on the different sites. Okay, back to our make the cut. Two important guys at 7,600. Two colorful guys at 7,600. Mustache man Max Homa is back, and Ricky Fowler, our guy there. Do either of them or do both of them make the cut?
Homa,
Ricky is finding ways to miss cuts right now. It's unbelievable.
Homa, I feel fine about. He's just a good player. He misses more cuts than he should, but he's still a quality player. And I think the putter's been positive in 3 straight. I'm okay with him. I mean, I I still like Ricky. I mean, I root for him, of course. I am concerned though. I mean, there's nothing going on in his game that's positive. And when you look at what happened, yeah, he's a winner here. He gained 9.5 strokes putting that year. And that is just a distant memory of Ricky Fowler. He can't putt anymore. So I'm going to call Ricky definitely a dangerous proposition. Will I have a sprinkle? Probably. But his miscut equity is higher than Homa's, in my opinion.
Speaking of miscut equity, but extreme upside if he does play all 4 days, it's Keith Mitchell, man. This guy is an absolute boomer bust. But he's following in line with what we just saw from like Tom Hoagie. 2 missed cuts, 2 top fives for Hoagie, and then he wins, right? Well, Keith Mitchell, a couple missed cuts on the season, every other finish inside of the top 12. So at 7,500, under 10%, first, does he play all 4 days? And second, do we just play him in GPPs because of that upside? I mean, I really think we should. That's why.
Keith Mitchell is one of the guys when we do the segment. It's one of the weirdest answers is like, does he see the weekend? I think the answer might be no, but I still think you should play him because his miscut equity is high. But when he does make it, as you said, he outscores his placement points. He's just an absolutely high upside type player. So I think that Keith Mitchell's got a fine chance to make it. I'm not overly interested in him, but man, when he scores, you got to watch out. And he's virtually a lock to gain off the tee, which is another asset, of course.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that last week he was very close to the optimal build or in the optimal build and came in 12th. I mean, it's just what he does at a course that both you and I would be like, no, we're not playing Keith Mitchell here. He's not part of our core. Pebble Beach, not for me, but he ended up getting it done. A guy that almost got it done, probably should have, but really started to struggle midway through the round. As Jordan was making his ascent, Joel Damon was going the other way. So what's up with that? I know you told me he was part of that bad Sunday for you. Does he rebound, or do you think the Joel Damon's kind of hangover effect will continue this week?
So he's got to find a way to make some more putts. Can he do that here? I mean, I don't know, but I was encouraged with the ball striking. His off the tee game was pretty solid, and he still
good all year.
Yeah, and he still came in 6th. I was disappointed, but also encouraged. So I'm going to say that Joel Diamond is fine, that you can go there. I feel okay about that.
Next I want to talk about is somebody that has gotten a funny little nickname here, TPC Lee. And, these are the kind of funny, anecdotal, non-quantifiable things. But when you look at his results, and like his top 7 best results on the PGA Tour are all at TPC golf courses, I guess maybe you can look at a little bit second here last year, a win at TPC Twin Cities. So at 7,300 and 6 straight made cuts, does he make it 7 here this week at Waste Management?
So yeah, KH Lee, man, it's a guy that I thought his win came out of kind of nowhere, but he's followed up with pretty good made cut equity. Guys doing it, good ball striker, putting comes and goes. I'm not there though. I'll be honest. I think I'm going to try to find the money for some of the guys we just talked about, or go down to that McCarthy, Noren, Fowler type, or not Fowler, Wise type range.
Let's talk about Gary Woodland before we talk about Denny McCarthy. 2-part question for Gary. First, you can tell me if you think he's going to make the weekend. And second, will he ever return to good form?
So yeah, I mean, 2 in the same. I don't know if it's a health issue still, or he's just not playing great golf. I'm going to take a wait and see approach with Gary Woodland again. When he's good, he's certainly better than 73 in this field, but I'm not sure we get it. The form has been very inconsistent, and I don't know why it would flip suddenly. It may change eventually, but I'll wait and see.
Yeah, last year it was the off the tee game because of that torn labrum issue that he had.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Yeah, he was clearly hurt. When we look at his stats from the Farmers, again, 3 of 4 rounds where he lost strokes off the tee, lost almost a stroke and a half on Sunday. So clearly that's not fixed yet. But at 7,300 and one of the best values based on our Awesemo PGA DFS projections, I think I'm going to at least start to give him some looks. I don't know if, I'm going to have him on my main lineup yet, but Gary is one of those guys I want to be early on. And okay. if I'm too early, that's fine. I think he'll get back to good form or good golf. That's why I asked you that question. Do you think maybe he's just done? Which it's possible. It happens to guys like this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about done where he's like off the tour, but done competing in majors, done in that regard. I hope not, but I don't know. I'm pretty discouraged on where he's at. I hope he gets healthy if that's the case.
Slim Brody does not like you touting Denny McCarthy. He wants you to go back to touting Luke Liss and Joseph Bramlett.
I hear you, my man.
Maybe not Joseph Bramlett. Corey Connors. Let's start with
I have submitted to the
Denny
team.
McCarthy.
I now understand what it's like when your guy hits it to 18 feet. And it's just like, oh man, like instead of worrying about the 3-putt, I'm just like, this is sweet. He's going to make it. And then he just makes it. It's fantastic. Like last week was awesome. The guy just makes putts.
He does. And he's playing great golf. Why is he 7,200 and why is he under 10% owned?
I don't get it. He was one of my favorite. He was my hot take on this very show last week, and I missed it by a sliver. He was right in contention. I think I called for a top 5, which he wasn't there, but top 10 I had on my card, and he's just playing good. I don't get this price. His ball striking is not great, but he makes up for it. He's a true world-class putter.
He is. So he plays all 4 days, right? That runs.
I really, well, you better.
Okay.
You better be playing me 5 days. You just keep playing, Denny. We need you.
Aaron Wise, we brought up 7,100. 66 on a miscut here, miscut at the Farmers. Is that trend continue?
Nah, I think he's gonna be all right.
I'm not gonna give up on him. He missed on the number of the year. So,
like, not all miscuts are created equal. He was all right at the Farmers. He had ample opportunities. He needed one birdie and he could not get it done.
It was terrible what he ended up missing coming down the stretch. It was
his last miscut before that was a long time ago. You're going all the way back to Heritage in April of 2021. Like Aaron Wise had played really good golf, particularly tee to green before that. And I think that's just a blip on the radar. He's going to be just fine.
Brandon Grace is one of those course history guys because I don't think we'd say that this is a good course fit for him. I mean, I don't really know where would be a good course fit for Grace. He doesn't hit the ball long. He doesn't hit it accurate. He's good with his irons and gets incredibly hot with his short game. Maybe that's what you need here. That's what Brooks Koepka did to win last year, I guess. So Brandon Grace, 7,100. You like chasing the course history here?
I don't understand. Now he's been electric with the irons at this place. He's lost in 6 of 7 with the irons. So something's got to give. And I think recent form is going to trump course history. I don't like Brandon Grace this week. No.
Okay. Does not make the weekend. I would rather play Wise. I'd rather play Pereira. But what do you make of Pereira? Do you think that when he first broke onto the tour with that Battlefield promotion, he came on and his ball striking stats were, top 25, top 20 on tour. He's regressed from that a little bit. We're not going to lie. But at 7K flat, are you still willing to go there until he shows us that maybe that was, kind of just an anomaly and not who he really is?
So it's tricky because I don't know who he is. He had insane ball striking. Then he lost that. He's gained over 2.5 strokes putting in 4 straight events. Like now he looks like an insane putter. His short game is always bad. I'll give him that. Consistently bad short game. But I'm still interested in Mito just because I don't think we know. Not my favorite play, but also a guy I won't shy away from. Wouldn't mind him in the pool.
I think he bounces back and makes the weekend nonetheless. We talked about Molinari. I think he did too. And Chad has brought up the last guy on this list for the make the cut. It's Adam Hadwin, who's made 6 straight cuts here at this event. Plays well during this part of the season and is kind of in that little groove again. So 6,900. Ben, I love this guy this week. I'm not going to lie to you.
Hadwin's a guy, I got to give him credit. Even when the form sometimes doesn't look great, he gets to courses. You mentioned this time of the year, and he seems to kind of just show up at Amex and some of these rotationals in this course. So again, not my favorite play, but if you're looking for a guy to find the weekend and you say, I love where I leveraged, he's 6,900. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Chambers Bay, Bradley Max's Chambers Bay is Brandon Grace.
I honestly was thinking that's the only time when it was just impossible like conditions. Brandon Grace. Yeah.
Oh man, that's
That
funny.
was such a ridiculous, that yellow sand traps or whatever they were.
Oh, that was just awful. I just realized that the way that I'm cropped here on YouTube, like my hair is almost out of the frame. I'm getting
Yeah,
really close to it.
you're
Couple
rolling
more
in the
weeks
highest
and
circles.
we're gonna be there, Ben. We are gonna be there. So we'll keep vying for that. Okay, that's gonna do it for the Make the Cut segment. Of course, if we missed any golfers that you really want us to talk about there, just let us know in the chat, and we'll try to get to it as we move on to our betting cards for the week, Ben. And as frustrated as I was with the DFS side last week, that's why I like adding in the betting and the outrights and the top fives in the each way. Spieth was a solid payday for me last week, betting him on the each way. Same with Cantlay getting the top five for me. Ended up cutting into some of my DFS losses. So let's go over our betting card this week. You, in our article that we put out, all of us give one pick. You put out Matthew Fitzpatrick, who I also love this week at 50-1. He's playing really good golf. I don't know if people aren't realizing it or odds makers aren't realizing it, but the guy's come in the top 12, 3 straight events. I know it's his first time here, but 50-1 seems a little high. That's where I'm starting, and seems like you are as well.
Yeah, I think that he's getting a bump down for no course history, and the fact that he's never won here, but he's won a lot in Europe. The guy knows what he's doing. So I like that. And then, there are these guys that we talked about kind of in that 7K range. Even it relates, actually, we just had a question about Brian Harmon. I think he's someone that I'm going to talk about right now as well in the same vein. Like, you're getting around 4 or 5-1 on those type of players for a top 20. I think you can look to those guys, the Denny McCarthy's, the Harmons, the Wises, the Norins. You want to put them, I don't know if I'm going to sprinkle outrights, but top 10s, top 20s. That's how I'm kind of constructing my card this week.
You ready for the stat line on Brian Harmon?
Please.
Last week, he missed the cut. He had 45 pars, 3 bogeys, and 5 birdies. That's it. 5 birdies in 3 rounds.
Yeah, that's hard to do. Not in a good way.
He threw in an eagle there too. I'm sorry, threw in an eagle. So let's call it 7 birdies in 3 rounds.
Still,
that doesn't seem good.
No, it's not good. Confirmed. But he gets crazy hot with the putter sometimes on Bermuda. And I don't know. He obviously limited the damage. That's the one positive. It's not like he made 20 bogeys. He just didn't do much of anything.
No, he didn't do much of anything. Wanted to bring that up. Adam Scott also at 50-1, Ben. I already mentioned his good off the tee game there. I like starting with him and Fitz, in both the each way markets and the outright. I think they both have a chance to win, and I think they both are playing really good golf. So top 10s, top 5s, stuff like that. I think they're a really good place to start. Let's pick one stud. If you had to, given the opening odds here, I've seen JT at 14-1 somewhere. That's a great number. I'm seeing mostly 10-1 though, which is not. I would rather go double the 10-1 at 20-1 for Xander Schauffele, who I know hasn't won in a wicked long time. I mean, he won the gold medal, I understand, but a PGA Tour event he hasn't won in a while. Still, 20-1 seems like a decent number for a guy that came runner-up here last year.
Yeah, I'm not looking to go like JT, even though he's a great player at 10. I'm just not there. You're going to find me more in that
50 to.
Yeah, 50. Even like Scheffler, it's just too short. I'd rather play Xander at 20. I'm looking at the board right now. I just don't see a lot at the very, very top. I think, Rahm is 7.5-1. It's just hard to back a guy at that price. I really don't like that. And if you get there, I think it's wide open. And the difference to me between like Fitzy and Scott and the guys that are 25-1, not that big. I'd rather just take the plunge with those guys.
All right, I got a question for you. Obviously, with New York being illegal now, you've got plenty of markets. Do you follow in-tournament market stuff?
So I definitely look, as part of it is just timing, like if I'm paying attention. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we've seen more and more, and maybe it was always like this, you start slow. Like these guys, especially the best players in the world, they make the cut and they're 9 shots back. That's nothing. Like,
for example, last week was a perfect. This is why I'm asking it. Yeah.
Like you can make up so much ground. So don't be afraid to either cost average down or add some positions. I think absolutely the live betting market for golf is fantastic.
I also asked this because at one point last week, 6 holes into the golf tournament, DraftKings Sportsbook had Maverick McNeely as a minus 120 to win the event. He started off, he was tied for first on the Monterey course. But that's why I bring this up, because if you're paying attention,
yeah, that's not
and
it.
you get one of those guys that jump off the cover and it makes everybody else's odds longer, you can kind of pick up on that. Speed until Saturday afternoon when he went on the Pebble Run was in the 30-1 range almost all week. Obviously when he ended up shooting 63, which really was that back nine, he ended up tearing up. He ended up getting much less than that. I think it was 3 or 4-1, going into Sunday. But that's what I like to see in the open markets, to be able to go and find those things. All right, next one I want to bring up, Ben, is the head-to-head matchups. Is there anyone you want to short, number one? Number two, why do we want to bet against Daniel Berger this week?
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting one just because if he does withdraw, you're going to automatically win if he hits a shot. Yep. Head-to-heads are obviously interesting. You're looking more for like floor, like guys who you make the cut. You'll say, you know what, if my guy comes in 15th, if the other guy can beat that, so be it. Yeah. So like the erratic nature, that's what I really try to target. Some of the boom bust guys that I think one that I'm kind of looking to short is actually Seamus, depending on the matchup that you get. But you get him versus Henley, you get him versus guys like in that neighboring price range. I take those guys over Seamus this week. I think that's a pretty interesting one. Honestly, Keith Mitchell in matchups, I think, is a good short, because when he beats you, he probably beat you by 10 strokes, but that doesn't matter. It's just about medium outcomes. And to me, he has a lot of times where he just doesn't show up in between his nuclear rounds. So that's how I approach it.
Yeah. Are you giving up too much equity by betting him to win and or each way, and then taking the other side of that and betting against him in head-to-heads? Are you giving up too much there?
I think the odds have to make sense a little bit, but I get your logic, because again, it's about, okay, if he has a huge, ridiculous thing, yeah, you're going to lose your matchup, but you'd gladly sacrifice it. And if not, if he plays terrible, you're going to win your matchup and you're losing probably a small stake on the outrights and whatnot. So I get it. You don't want to open yourself up to a giant middle. Like clearly there's a lot of opportunities where he beats you in the matchup and doesn't win the tournament. So, but I get the concept with certain players, and he is one of them like that.
Yeah. And, wanted to bring up that you talk about this stuff on our OddsShopper YouTube channel. Check Absolutely. It out. We have a Friday show, right, where we mix in some of that golf stuff, or we have in the past.
Yeah, I mean, we have content all week from various sports. There's some PGA picks, certainly NBA, NFL, Super Bowl, college basketball is going to be huge. If you like betting, oddshopper.com and OddsShopper YouTube, 2 great resources, ton of familiar faces and some great tools made by the entire team here.
Love it. All right, let's do quick lineup build, and then we'll get into our hot takes and get on out of here. How does that sound?
That sounds lovely.
All right, let's start off with our GPP build. If you want to start up top, great. I think JT Rahm, fine. I think Xander also there. Who would be your second guy if we take on one of those top guys in a GPP build?
Let's put in JT. Okay. And then I'm going to go. Let's go JT Finau. How's that?
Yes. I was just about to say, I think that's a great start to a GPP.
Yep.
Tony Finau, we know, doesn't have great history here, but then has the second place, a little topsy-turvy. Now, let's counteract that and say, okay, cash build in our top 2 guys. Are you starting with, say, something like Xander and Matt Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, I think you want to go, if you're not going to get Rahm, go very balanced, Fitzy, Xander, those types, guys that just very consistent.
Okay. Now, once we put in JT and we put in Finau in the GPP, obviously it's a little different. We get a little bit more aggressive, going down below. We've talked about Aaron Wise, but would Aaron Wise be somebody, even with the miscut coming off the Farmers, would Wise be somebody at 7,100 you would put in a cash lineup?
I think you could actually, just because, again, it's not as tough a cut to make. He can score. There's not as much down there. I'm okay with, I don't think you definitely don't have to do it, but like him and even Keegan, who we didn't really talk about, kind of just, they do what they do. And although they're frustrating players, I think it's not that crazy.
Okay. And in a GPP build, going down in that 71, 72, 7,000 range to pair up with JT Finau, who are you picking? Or is it going to be Wise again?
Yeah, let's just put Wise in there, my man.
All right. I think we can roll that. Now, going up on the cash side, third guy in my opinion, maybe you could play him in GPPs, but I think if you're starting Xander Fitzy, I think you can go to Abraham Answer here at 7,900. I know his ownership's not going to be that high, but I think it provides a nice stability there. I'd rather take him over Billy Horschel. Maybe take either of them, though, in the cash game setting. I'm out on Taylor Gooch this week. Okay. I think that run is done for a little while. I think he's a quality golfer, but I think I'd take Answer or Horschel over both of him. I wouldn't even play him in cash at this point. Who would you pick as that third guy in the Xander Fitzy cash lineup?
So for cash, I think it'd be Horschel or Gooch, just because of, kind of where their price is at. Very safe, probably as a block in some head-to-heads in that sense as well. So I'm more interested in the tournament aspect where you could pivot to Homa, you could pivot to, Answer, Court Connors. There's just a lot of names that I don't think are going to be as cash viable. So interesting range in the upper eights, high sevens, low eights.
JT Finau Wise. I really want to throw in another Oosthuizen or Fitzpatrick or Adam Scott. Let's say Oosty or Adam Scott, right? So we put one of those in there, and we're going to need somebody below 7,000. I know who my pick is. It's Adam Hadwin at 6,900. Who do you pick below 7,000 in a lineup like this?
Yeah, I think we can do that. If you go Scott Hadwin, we match up the Adams. Not that that's a real thing, but Hadwin's doing his thing. Adam Scott, again, no course history, but I think he's a fine fit. And then we're left with 7,600. You've got Homa, Ricky, Killa Keith, Mitchell, Dahmen, Matt Kuchar, who was killed me last week. I don't know if you want to go that outrageous.
Yeah, what happened there?
Just didn't have it. No real excuse. Just simply did not have it. I can't even sugarcoat it, but that happens.
It sure does. Okay, I love that build. On the cash game side, let's say we've got Horschel, Xander, Fitzy, and Wise. I think we're pretty balanced. We could throw in even a Denny McCarthy there in cash. He's been so good recently, so I think our build is pretty quality there. All right, that takes us to just about 9 o'clock for our hot takes. A great segment. It looks like Denny McCarthy was yours last week, and you were pretty darn close. Anybody who took the over 13 minutes for my glasses to stay on wins. It made it the entire episode incredibly, but I got lucky. Somebody turned up my fan for me, so that was cool enough where I didn't have to take them off. Okay, hot take. Let's go yours first. I got one. I know what's going on.
I'm sticking with it. I don't know if I've ever done this back-to-back. Denny McCarthy, top 5, 19-1. I said it last week. I'm going to stick with him. He was close. He played great. He's just a fantastic player right now with his putting. If you pair that up with what is decent ball striking, I think we could have something here. And I'm not sure why the markets haven't really, I'm not saying they need to adjust to Denny McCarthy, but at 19-1 for a top 5, I don't think that is crazy. I think that he has an opportunity to get in the mix with the way he putts.
Okay. I got my hot take here. Are you ready for it?
Can I just say real quick?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Earlier, and I wanted to bring this up, friend of the show, Jeff Tiffany, had the hot take that Jon Rahm misses the cut. And if he is right on that, I expect him back in chat to reclaim his glory next week, because that would be an all-time crazy call. That's some stones. I'll give him that.
I think that's like I'll look it up right now. That's gotta be
that's some coin if you're right.
This reminds me of the time that Bryson DeChambeau
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. And our chat told us, I think it was even Mike Campbell was the one who said it, said, hey, listen, Bryson to miss the cut plus 800 this week. Here we go on Jon Rahm to miss the cut plus 750. Oh, you gotta love that. Okay. Yeah. Might be clicking it here. All right. I've got my,
so just to say, they're saying he has just as good a chance to win the tournament, because he's also plus 750 to win the entire thing. That just shows you where we're at.
Oh man. All right. Let's see. Let me just make sure we can parlay these before I say it. Okay. Tell me, because it's Super Bowl week, Ben. Tell me your absolute favorite prop in the world that you've seen. Player, game, doesn't matter. You tell me. And it's going to be on DraftKings. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Joe Burrow over 10.5 rushing yards. Okay. I think he will be active on the ground because of the pressure of the Rams.
Okay. Joe Burrow. 25 rushing yards. Okay, I see it.
25. Here. Well, don't be doing that. That's too many.
No. Which one is it? Tell me again.
Joe Burrow over 10.5 rushing yards.
All right. I suck. What is that? Plus 105?
Yeah, right. It's in the normal straight bet range.
There it is. Okay. Well, you're going to pair a plus 105, that one right there, somewhere in that range, your favorite, Joe Burrow, over 10 rushing yards, with Tony Finau to win the event, and you're going to get paid roughly 80-1, and that Tony Finau is 40-1 to win the event. That is going to be my hot take of the week. He's coming in with similar form to where he won the Northern Trust. I just think he gets it done. I think the floodgates have opened from that win. Hasn't had a great season yet. He missed the cut at the Farmers. I think this is where we get the bounce back. He wins 40-1 this week, plus match it up with the Super Bowl bet. So, Ben, tell us about a couple of content we have coming on for Super Bowl. Where are we going to see you next?
You're going to see me certainly tomorrow on the Odds channel, and then we're going to be doing some fun Super Bowl content. We're going to have a nice laid-back live show, me and Lofty and the crew getting into some debates on Super Bowl topics. You don't want to miss that. And then, of course, on Sunday, we're going to have you guys covered. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait to see it. Very fascinating one. So everything you want. If you want to show support for the golf team, though, hit that like button on your way out. We always appreciate that. And thanks to you, in all honesty. I know you're not feeling great, but it was fun to have you back on the Live Before Lock, just like old times.
Yeah, happy to be back here. It's a fun show for sure. So thanks to everybody for joining. Next week, we do have our first PGA DFS Millionaire Maker. It is a $4,000 buy-in, but check it out this week. You can get satellites, $11, $75. Check it out, and we will be back for the Genesis Invitational next week. Everybody, good luck, and we will see you on the other side. Cheers.